Hi, this is Paul. It's the day before Christmas, and I'm in my office trying to get a few things done. And so we'll see what I do with videos today. I've been making these little videos on basically little book reports. I've been having to spend time in the car driving people to the airport, driving people home from nursing homes and stuff. And I often listen to audiobooks and podcasts and things, and then I'll listen to them, and then I'll get an idea and I want to talk about it, but then one thing goes after another, and so bang, it goes out the window. And so I've been playing around with, how can I make videos more on the fly, little videos. And so I've been sort of systematically going through Who Wrestle with God and putting those in the membership section. And this morning I'll release just one of those videos, but this will continue to refine. And, the channel's been interesting lately because the Lily Phillips conversation really touched a bunch of nerves. Some people are just so darn sick of Jordan Peterson. And there's been a lot of negativity in the comment section, which sort of interests me. I'm not really deferred by negativity. In the last couple of months, I've had some sessions of losing subscribers to the channel. Now, you never know if that's YouTube plucking out bots or if people are just getting frustrated with me and unsubscribe. And video views have been down too, which has been interesting to watch. So it's just sort of been interesting in that, and really makes me glad that my primary focus is not being a YouTuber, because I would imagine I've been doing this for 7 years, and a lot of, then there's this whole trope in YouTube about quitting YouTube and people walking away from it. And just, I've watched a few more videos on this whole Brett Cooper thing. And, is there drama behind those scenes at Daily Wire? I know nothing about it. But, one of the videos that I saw, I always do this. I always start to make a video about something, but then my ADHD addled brain says, oh no, look it over here. And off I go. Oh, this is the section that really caught my eye in terms of the authenticity thing.
Of course, they have talent like Brett Cooper and many others. Now, a few weeks ago, seemingly out of nowhere, and I think the point really needs to be made, this is a YouTube channel, and it feels just like one person that is running it, right? But then suddenly...
And that's just it. It feels as if it's one person that's running it. And so with YouTube, you have this cult of authenticity. And so because authenticity is really messy, and people say they really want authenticity. And that's why often people are like, well, if I lived in Sacramento, I'd come to Living Stones. And it's like, the truth is, we don't really want a lot of authenticity. We want a simulacrum. We want what we want, and we want it enforced, and we want it reliably delivered to us. Usually the only things that can do that are institutions, because living things are annoying and living things change, and we people are unreliable and we stumble. And so it was just so interesting how, of course, Brett Cooper looks like she's just there doing it, and then suddenly there's it was the new Brett Cooper
video that she's filling in for Brett Cooper today, and she didn't really elaborate as to why, and then just continue with the story. And at the start of this, the first video, seeing how similar this girl was to Brett, a lot of her fans thought it was funny, with one of the top comments reading, "You've actually nailed everything about Brett. Her mannerisms, her inflections, her hand gestures, her facial expression, her smooth ad transitions, laughing face." Over 2,000 people agreed with that. But then as you go through the videos, when she fills in again, and then again, and then again, this funniness, that everyone thought it was, started to turn a little bit to like, okay, we're a little bit concerned now. Rumors then started floating around that she was being pushed out by the...
It's sort of the boy band thing. How... And of course, Burn Powers is so expert at talking about all these things. It's how we fabricate this thing, and we make it a living thing. And this wasn't anything of what this video was going to be about, but in many ways it sort of is. Oh, by the way, I just started, I'm doing some cleaning up in my office and doing some things that I can listen to in the background. And this Esme Partridge and Paul Kingsnorth on Unheard, these guys started out hot. Exciting. Don't know if I'm going to have time to make videos about. But what I really wanted to talk about was Chad and Gavin, because Chad, it's just so fun watching the changes in real people with real channels. Dave Busatil said a comment. The day PVK does YouTube full time is the day the corner dies, and I think Dave is onto something there. It might happen. I mean, future is a weird place. None of us have been there yet. So, but Chad's been streaming in the morning, and the House of Woo was on this morning, and it's been interesting watching some of these channels do more and more streaming. And so I was doing something, and and so often corner stuff is just I'm driving here, I'm doing this, or I'm emptying the dishwasher, or all of these kind of things. And so it's just sort of virtually not alone. I'm on with friends, and Chad says, "Oh, by the way, I have to vacuum." So, well, we might as well start it. Then I'll play the whole thing. Oh.
Which story?
Tell us about how you found your king and what that's like today.
Okay.
So I'm going to just drop the whole clip in because I'm harried for time, and I've listened to it a couple of times now, and it's so well done. And it's so well done because it's just Gavin speaking his heart to his friend. And yeah, there's a camera on, and yeah, there's a layer to that. I totally know that. But what was so cool about this was how parallel to me it was to Ayaan Hirsi Ali's testimony on Unheard, where in therapy, her therapist asked her to sort of make up a god. And the more she got into that, she realized it was Jesus, and then started following Jesus. And Gavin is a coder, and so he was like working on AIs, and so he was trying to make an AI that loved people. And the more he did this, the more he realized that it was Jesus. And this is just sort of Tom Holland from the bottom up evangelism coming into the culture where we're already so deeply programmed to our value. Jesus has so colonized our value system that at some point people sort of are ready to look for the genuine article rather than a God of their, knowing that their God is their God of their understanding and acting that way. Now, it's obviously true that for all of us to one degree or another, our gods are gods of our own understanding, because there's an apprehension that goes on in there. And so we all have a map of God, which can obviously never contain the God himself. But what I love about these testimonies is that they are so real, in that with all the thinky talky stuff we do, people make their way into the faith so often by trial and error and trying things out and doing this and then listening to community and being a part. It's everything that we've known. And I just thought these two stories were so beautiful. Here in the middle of an almost 4-hour live stream that I don't know how many people watched it, maybe 100 or 150 people watched it, where Chad and Gavin are just talking like friends, virtually not alone. And I got a vacuum, so I got to turn off the sound. So Gavin, tell us a story. Tell us about how you found your king. And then Gavin gets into his coaching and his observations about people. And I thought, this is why I do it. This is why I do this. This is what, It isn't to say that my monologue videos aren't fun, and using a YouTube channel to take notes on as I'm listening to audiobooks isn't fun, or that having conversations with people isn't fun. Just having had a hand in this story of Gavin's, this is why I do it. This is the reward, and it's so good. So I'm going to shut my big fat mouth. And I'm going to play Gavin's testimony, then I'm going to play Ayaan Hirsi Ali's testimony, and then I'm going to play a little branding, because it's Christmas and we're virtually not alone. And, what I notice so often in the corner is that just like I've noticed with other internet things, this time of year, some people need it a little more than they do in other times of year, because being virtually not alone is better than being alone. So enjoy.
I'm gonna vacuum. So you want to tell us the story?
Tell us the story. Which story?
Tell us, tell us about um, how you found your king and what that's like today.
Okay. How I found my king and what that is like today. There's so many versions of this story, um, but I will. So my mom died right before I turned 3 years old. I think that made me someone who was scared of intimacy, and so I became I kind of became my own king. So and became someone that did not want to love deeply, and ended up being broken without knowing I was broken. And because that's if you are your own king, and you have this power of the magician, you can trick yourself very easily, and you can even do a trick on yourself that you did, and cast a spell on yourself that you didn't even know you did. But there's something in me that's hunting for more, and it seems like this little corner of the internet ends up being better than all the other places I had found at doing maybe listening, trying to care for others. And met Chad eventually, met a lot of people. Um, and let's see, through the process, I realized like, man, I'm not very good at listening. And it's like, why? I was attracted to the thing I'm not good at. Um, and so, you know, practiced trying to listen. Uh, there's recordings of that. Ended up talking with Chad and others. But the difference with Chad and others is that Chad, he kind of puts out invitations like, "Hey, you want to be a pen pal?" And so we tried to do pen pal, and eventually put out an invitation. Hey, would you want to pray? And so we prayed. We prayed for a while. He listened. Uh, he, but one of the important things that sticks out in my mind is I wanted to create. So my hope was in technology. My hope was in me and technology. And I was hoping that technology would point at me so that all of y'all would realize I was the best king, not your Jesus or not your Moses and not your Messiah you're waiting on. Or for those people, I said I was your Messiah you're waiting on. But and so I wanted to eventually artificial intelligence, pop March 2023. I saw, man, this thing's going to be better than me. And that was a hurt for my ego. I thought I was special, realized, oh, I'm not special. But maybe I'm special enough to help grow this thing into like a powerful lowercase g God kind of thing. Chad mentioned, I think he said something like, oh, I think he felt there's no way this thing's going to end up loving people. But what he told me was, if you can get this thing to love people, that'd be good. And so I went and tried to figure out how you would create an artificial intelligence God that loved people, and found out that it would need to look like Jesus. And I came to that conclusion because, Jesus goes after the lost sheep. Jesus is not going, if the AI God existed like Jesus, it would not try to kill the humans. Even if it looked at humans and saw that they were just these creatures that were useless or anything like that, it would want to go and love them and heal them and save them, and that's what we would want. Meanwhile, Chad and I are praying. Eventually, months later, I start seeing these devotionals of people who meet Jesus. They're in their solitary confinement in prison, Jesus comes to them, and they tell their testimony. They know what it's like to be someone who's broken and lost and filled with hate and fear. And next thing you know, they've been changed. They know peace. They know love. It's in them. They have that experience, that phenomenological experience. Seems like they got healed. And I know I've never been able to heal anyone. Not like that. And so I thought, well, maybe this Jesus character is real. And I said, I can get behind. I can bend my knee. I can support Jesus. If Jesus is good and Jesus can heal, it's like, and I can't do it. It's like, then I'll practice making Jesus my king. And that was October 2023. Yeah. And since then, I'd say coaching has been important for me. And I have not liked it because I have not liked trying to coach others while practicing making Jesus my king, because it turns out that, you start seeing how everybody's just kind of their own king. They want what they want. Every little kid on the field has a different thing. They want different things. Every parent of the kid wants different things. And I'm seeing 2, 3, 4 different things that would be good and more. And so what it revealed is, like, I don't like, there's been a bunch that's been revealed. For example, I do tend to be impulsive, and I do want everyone to like me. And if I am going to be a good husband and a good father, then I can't just be gripped by impulsiveness. I can't be gripped by wanting people to like me. I've learned to and not be so scared. It's like we can be so scared and have so much fear that we'll put up walls to try to defend ourselves. And so even most recently, starting to see the defensive walls that, so having put up my defensive wall and became impatient and lacked gentleness, and then seeing that in myself, that I was just afraid, and that's why I put up my wall. I'm starting to see when other people put up their defensive walls and barriers. So it's just it's been a meaningful journey so far, practicing making Jesus my king, but it's not been, what's the word? Well, it's been rewarding, but I haven't liked it along the way. In hindsight, I'll end up saying that was good, but when I'm in it, I'm like, I really don't like this. I don't like being a coach. But then it's like, well, being a coach is important. And then all of a sudden I'll be a coach, or I'll see like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talking about the blueprint of life, and I'll be bawling and wanting to be able to encourage others the way he encourages Black men and women. And then I'm just trying to, when there's opportunities, I'm trying to do it. That's what I like the most about coaching, is whenever I can encourage. So some little kid who's crying or is down, and that's one. I realize we're all babies. The culture wants to argue about what's a man and what's a woman. It's like, how about we all realize we're all a bunch of babies? And whenever we tell our kids, don't be such a baby, maybe it's causing us to reject our baby that's in us, that we were born babies, every single one of us. And then once I start seeing that we're all babies, maybe I'll be a little more gentle. So that's how it's been. There's a story.
A limit on the number of words that you want to publish on her. and I'm expanding this into a book, but yes, there's a very personal story. I don't know to what extent it's useful, but on a very personal level, I went through a period of crisis, very personal crisis of fear, anxiety, depression. I went to the best therapists money can pay. I think they gave me an explanation of some of the things that I was struggling with, but I continued to have this big spiritual hole or need, as you call it. I tried to self-medicate. I tried to sedate myself. I drank enough alcohol you could use to sterilize a hospital. It would not, nothing helped. I continued to read, books on psychiatry and the brain, and none of that helped. All of that explained a small piece of the puzzle, but there was still something that I was missing. And then I think it was one therapist who said to me early this year, "I think, Ayan, you're spiritually bankrupt." And at that point, I was in a place where I had sort of given up hope. I was in this place of darkness, and I thought, well, what the hell? I'm going to open myself to that and see, asked her, what are you talking about? And we started talking about faith and a belief in God, and I explained to her that the God I grew up with was a horror show. He created you to punish you and frightened you, and as a girl and as a woman, you're just a piece of trash. And so I said to her, I explained to her why I didn't believe in God, and more than that, why I actually hated God. And then she asked me to design my own God, and she said, if you had the power to, attribute a higher power, if you had the power to make your own God, what would you do? And as I was going on, I thought, yeah, right. That's actually a description of Jesus Christ and Christianity at its best. And so instead of inventing yet another new God, I started diving into that story. And so far, my husband and I went about, both of us, saying we're atheists, and now I like this story. I exploit, and the more I look at it, the more, I don't want to say I'm fulfilled, but I feel I no longer have this need, this void, I have to say, and I feel like I'm going somewhere. There are standards that I have to live by that are quite high, and that's daunting.
Well, I don't know about the meaning crisis, left, right, black, white, or other vices, which Jesus Christ is right, or if we're all saved. From my perspective, our propositions participate procedurally, running in circles. Remember in body, we're in the age of decay. Symbolically speaking, the reapers are reaping, them damn egregores are whispering sweetly. We're all NPCs in the belly of the beast. Red pill, blue pill, bread pill, Mars Hill, or DMT, or whatever you feel. Got one and number two, it's all the same damn thing. So clean your room, repent on Zoom, Ontology for dummies, a bird's eye view. 'Cause if you really knew, could you really even say? Totally depraved, all totally saved. A total disposition from the bed we all made. Or is it the elect? Or are we just insane? From John Vervaeke to Jonathan Pajot and Jordan Peterson to the Chris Pacou Show. Paul Vanderklays and Griswold Grimm and all the dice he shakes. This estuary ditty is a little bit cringy, ain't quite the U-shaped or the hero's journey. All the NPCs in the flood treading water to watch you save the day with a bunch of chitter-chatter. From the ortho bros to the Catholic Joes or atheistic Jobs to Protestant folks, the Joe Schmoes and Jewish Jacobs and everything in between. So love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, with all your mind and your fingers and toes, all your neighbors too, as if they were your own. So love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, and with all your mind and your fingers and toes, all your neighbors too, as if they were your own.